Welcome to this special interview exclusively presented by the Empowermen Project. I am Siobhan Bryan, journalist and historical enthusiast. It is my pleasure today to present to you an exclusive interview with Dr. Velon John entitled To My Friends and Comrades. Hailing from the District of Labrie, Dr. Velon Leo John OBE was born on the 19th of April 1942. He is a Saint Lucian politician who represented the Labrie constituency for the Saint Lucia Labour Party, first serving as a senator in the Senate of Saint Lucia from 1988 to 1990, and winning the 1992 general election and serving until the year 2006. During his tenure in government, he served Her Majesty's opposition. He served in the Ministry of Labour, Home Affairs, Public Service, and Cooperatives. Dr. Velon John has always stood out in St. Lucia's parliamentary chambers as one of the most unique orators with his vocabulary and strong command of the English. I sat with Dr. John at his home, at his bedside, to have this conversation as we get some insights into his genesis, upbringing, legal, political career, and overall philosophical look on contemporary issues that face St. Lucia. Let's imbibe.
So I attended the Labrie Boys Primary School. Yeah, and if I tell you, and my father was always concerned about our education. Oh yeah, we had to take it very, even from Labrie. I can remember one day I was, we from the infant school. This is a private school, St. Anthony Private School. We went to the. My father heard as a new and principal, Mr. Vincent Glasgow. Vincent Glasgow. He heard about he's a very good, he's very strict. My father took us from that infant, from the St. Anthony private school to the boys' primary school. So we went for primary school. Primary school, I enjoyed my little stay there. Then one Saturday, my father was home. He didn't go to work because he was working at the base, the American base in Vieux-Fort.
What? Okay.
Then he saw me limping in the yard. He asked my mother, "Why is that guy limping?" He said, "Why is Velon limping?" My mother told him, "A fork went into his foot." A fork! My father said, "A fork? Where would he get a fork? We don't have forks in the yard." My mother told him, "At the school, he was in the garden forking." What he didn't know, at the primary school in Labrie, every Friday was the day we went to the garden.
Okay.
And he also did handiwork. I can recall making a swizzle stick. But we had got morning, I'd gone to the garden, and when I took a fork, I did that, it went in my foot.
Ooh, ouch.
You know? So then that's when my mother told him, "A fork." I sent the guy to school. What does he do with a fork? If I want the guy to fork land, we have the Safi estate, we have Balambush estate. He can go. He can go. That happened. I saw on the weekend. By the Monday, we were back
Wow.
at that private St. Anthony private school.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So said if you want to fuck, what did you do? This was school. So anyway, from Labrie, he came up to Castro. It's about 10 years, and I went to the Anglican primary school. And I'll tell you that I have an extraordinary. I had, not now because I'm losing it. I realized that an extraordinary vocabulary. I have I have an extraordinary command of the English. I'm losing that. I realize even here, I'm doing that. I come across there's things I don't know, things I knew. And I can remember one day I'm writing, not long ago, I'm writing something, and I wanted to use a word. I'm thinking of the word I knew. I tell you, I can almost see the word I just could not remember it. It's in the following morning while I'm making my coffee upstairs, then it just comes to me. And the word I was looking for was secular.
Secular.
Yeah, and the word I was looking for. But I just could not come while I was writing. And I could just feel it is there. It's there. As I'm getting older, because I'm 82 years of age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
82. 80, I'll be 83 this year.
83.
Yeah. So when I went up to Castries, now like in all of these communities, everyone has this. We all have our peculiar accents.
Yeah.
You know, like the peculiar accent. So when I came up to Castries, and we were going to the Anglican school with that peculiar, they were laughing at us. Yeah, myself and my brothers and sisters. We were country bookies. Oh yeah, country bookies. For example, like the word foul. We used to say foul.
Foul.
Yeah, foul. And they used to laugh at us. They used to laugh at us, but I used to feel embarrassed. Oh God, I used to feel embarrassed. And then one day, Mr. Vaughan, Lester Vaughan, was the principal of the Anglican school, the Anglican primary school. He gave an essay to write, almost for the whole school. He wanted everybody to write something. And then when he came across one girl's essay, her name was Marlene Tempro, bright girl, Burking's daughter. She's now in the States. I don't know if she has died by now. In her essay, she used the word incomprehensible and incompatible. we had never heard it. Mr. Vaughan brought the girl on the stage and said, praise the girl. Look at the word she uses. Look at the word she uses. Because she reads. Look at the word. The boy, for the whole flipping week, boy, Mr. Vaughan is praising that girl. I said, Jesus Christ. I said, boy, I'm going to tell you, the Queen's English. I said, well, I'm going to beat you at your Queen's English. And from then on, I began reading. Building up my vocabulary. I have about 1,000 books right here.
Oh wow!
All there go around. Yeah, from there.
Yes.
And also at the back. Yeah, so I've been reading voraciously. That's why I got this loving for you. I'll never forget this incident. Yeah. Incompatibility and incomprehensible. I put that in an essay, and all of us were there sitting there. We have never heard that word. Some of them didn't even knew of that it didn't even existed. Yeah. But he put Marlene Tempro on the stage, the Anglican school, and he's praising that girl from morning till night. I said, cheese and rice. And so that's when I began reading, and I read voluminously, voraciously, and just that. So for Castries, okay, so I went Anglican school, at St. Mary's College, and that's where I began. I started what we call it, a board.
The SMC board,
It's outside in St. Mary's College.
Yes.
On the balcony, almost at the very end, near the assembly hall. Yeah. At the beginning, where there's stages. Yes. Outside, there used to be a board there, and I used to write articles. And put it there almost every week. Velon John had his articles there.
Wow.
Yeah, as a student, I never taught us anything. I was a prefect, but I never taught there. Okay. My brother, Coon, taught there.
Okay.
Yeah, Coon and John. And so I used to write articles. And so St. Mary's College, and then I left, went to working as a public health inspector. I was a public health inspector in Soufrière. And then one time, the public health inspector for Dennery. Okay. I used to ride a motorcycle. Yeah. Okay. A BSA 650, a huge monster.
After research,
a BSA. That time I was an English bike, a huge monster. When I was in Dennery, not in Soufrière. When I was in Dennery, and I was reckless. I was reckless. I was reckless. My gosh. They used to call me in the Bexon Valley. They used to call me the living dead. The living dead is passing. Zoom, I'm going down to Denver. In the Mabuya Valley, they call it Movelam Kapasi. The bad soul is passing.
Yeah.
I was reckless.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had a few falls here and there. Yeah. Anyway, so I left St. Louis, and I went to Canada. Even in Canada, I had a motorcycle.
Okay.
I used to ride from Toronto to Ottawa. It's about what, a 4-hour drive.
Wow, yeah, that's a distance.
I used to ride on my motorcycle on the highway with all those huge trucks passing me by with zooms, and when they pass close to me, the wave, the vacuum they leave, you find my bicycle tends to go almost underneath those vehicles.
Yeah.
So when I see those huge trailer trucks are passing me by, I have to go to the side and lean and be leaning that way. Oh yeah. So I had an exciting youth. So and then from there I was living in Oshawa. I joined a youth group and it was fantastic. And there's one. I still continued my reading, and I had my because one day someone. No, it's not that time. So I joined this youth group. It's a very important youth group because my sister was a nurse working at the General Hospital in Oshawa.
Okay.
And then there's a big function, and for whatever reason they said it. They made me almost the guest speaker for the youth, representing the youth. I said yes. I said I think you're those guys, and I was the only black person there.
Oh wow.
I was the only black person there. I said to Papa, I said they wanted to embarrass me, I think. That's my suspicion. They wanted to embarrass. The North American society is a racist society. The North American, don't fool yourself, it's a racist society. I said to them, yes, but why did they choose me to be the guest speaker? Though, of course, I used to engage them in debates. I used to engage them in debates. Even when I was at Mary's College, I used to participate in debates myself. Susie DeVerne, the St. Mary's College against a convent. Yeah. And I can remember having a debate against Susie DeVerne and other people. So, but they didn't realize I had the practice, I could talk. And they called upon me to say, boy, I'll show you what this black guy can do. This black guy from that small island can do it. And I went and I gave them the address. I gave them the address. When I came down, there was a white man standing the way he was standing, with his wife beside him, and he had his child on his hand. And he stopped me, said, Mr. John, you know when you were speaking, I had goose pimples.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. He told me, Mr. John, while you were addressing us, I had goose pimples. Yeah. And when the Archbishop of Oshawa came, he said, there's not much more I can say. Mr. John seemed to have covered everything. Yeah. Anyway, so that's Canada. Then I applied to the University of St. Francis Xavier in Nova Scotia. And that's why I did my bachelor's. It's a 4-year course. First year, you're a freshman. Second year, you're a sophomore. Third year, you're a junior. Fourth year, you're a senior.
Okay.
Yeah. And while I was there, I was the editor of the newspaper and what have you. I was the president of the debating society.
Okay.
And I used to say in my resume, and I have my fencing equipment is just behind your back in the next room. That's called a foil.
Okay.
There are 3 types. The foil, the épée.
So how you would hold it like this?
Yeah, you call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that and when I touch you, because you have because in the real competition, that is electrified, because you have a cord behind you.
Okay.
And you can move. You can let go back. So when I touch you, a light comes on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we just there, and the light comes on. So I became the maritime fencing champion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's a separate cut.
that's a helmet. I just put
Yeah.
things in it.
Okay.
That's a helmet. It's on your face, so I can't injure you.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm there fencing, I could come all the way there.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, I could go into your eye.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
so that protects you.
Okay.
And then you have the rest of the uniform. You know, so, and it's such, and I can only with the foil, I can only hit you just there. With the AP, any part of your body is a target. So the guy is fencing. If you have the AP, just come down to your toe, fast and accurate. The moment he touches you,
Yeah.
the light goes on with the AP. But with the foil, it has to be that part of your body.
Your torso area.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I learned something today. Okay.
My only regret when I returned to St. Lucia, I should have started a fencing club. So I went to St. Francis Xavier University. I did my bachelor's in sociology and philosophy. I've always had a leaning towards philosophy, and philosophy and sociology. Graduated. I graduated in I think in April, the end of the school year. During that time, I applied to do and I heard of the course in Ottawa University. I applied to do my master's in applied criminology. So by the beginning of the next school year, it was September, October, I went down to Ottawa, and I attended the University of Ottawa.
Okay.
I attended the University of Ottawa. I did my master's degree in applied criminology. That's why I have MAC after my name, MCA,
Okay.
Masters in Applied Criminology.
Yes.
That's what they have it
MCA.
there. Yeah. So and while I was there, the law school was next to my residence.
Oh wow.
And it's something I'm doing I'm just doing sociology. The sociology of deviance and law. I said that's how I got to be doing
Law.
sociology, because of the sociology of deviance. It's always pertaining to law and deviant behavior.
Okay.
So it's from there I went to criminology. So from criminology, I'm living next to the law school. I was living in LeBlanc residence, living there, and the thing is just as I said, I may as well apply.
Yeah.
I applied, and there again, they had a quota system. They were taking one black a year.
One black a year. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, one black person a year.
And that would have been
So
in the
so I applied in the early 70s
70s. Yeah.
because I moved from one university to the other. Yeah. So from one university, St. Francis Xavier, then Ottawa University, same period. From Ottawa University, as I graduated my master's, I went directly into law school. Yeah, and there's no break. Just the same year. Yeah, into law school. So I did my law. Did my law, and when I did my law, then I went down. After I graduated, I was called to the bar. Called to the bar. Then I went down to. Then I went to Toronto, and there I established. I was looking for a job. I can't get a job. I looking for a job, and the established black lawyers down there. They were selfish. All of them, they never felt. Whereas the Jews came together, and they have a nice law firm with about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Jewish and lawyers, and the blacks. A little cubby hole here, a little cubby hole there, a little cubby in that building there, and I could remember a friend of mine who was a lawyer. I don't know how I knew him. And he was taking me around because I'm trying to get a job. And I can remember going to that guy's got an office where at this time I saw 2 lawyers there. And he opened the guy's door. Hey, bro, I have Velon John. He just graduated from Ottawa. And the bastard was at his desk. He's writing something, preparing some document. He just looked up and said, "Oh, more competition." Yeah. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
He just looked up at me and said, "Oh, more competition." That's all he saw. That's all the bastard saw. more competition. But when I left him, then I said, I'm looking for a job. I go to this building there, I say lawful. Then the one that was walking along Queen Street, and then I saw another street, John Street.
Yeah.
I said, John Street? I said, yes, near the CNN Tower. I said, and then I had to walk down. I said, office for rent. So I went there. I established my office right there on John Street. I said, that must be an omen.
Yeah.
I said, it must be an omen on John Street. Yeah, and so I stayed there for a few years. Then I moved on. Then I went by change because it is expensive. Downtown Toronto, right downtown Toronto. I went in the suburbs, and from there, I said no. I left it because I always wanted to return home. So I returned home in 1981. No, first I contact my brother. I tell him, what are the possibilities here? He told me, well, why don't you apply to the government? So I applied. They told me their position as magistrate. So I applied as a magistrate. I applied. They tell me, yes, come down. So I came down to Saint Lucia. I think I was appointed magistrate from the time I was in Canada.
Oh, wow.
So I came here. I was a magistrate here for about 5 years. That's when that flogging incident came about. Yeah, when I ordered that guy to be flogged.
In Castries, by the square.
On the square at high noon.
Yes.
Because I wanted everybody to be there. So I magistrate for about 4 or 5 years. And then because of the flogging thing, Robotham, who was the Chief Justice at the time, because of the pressure they were getting from Amnesty International and all its humanitarian organization because of the flogging decision. And even there's a political element there. The guys were in power, and they didn't like that. The kind of attention was being brought to St. Lucia. I used to get letters from Australia.
Wow.
The kind of network those guys have is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the network. Oh yes, letters. I was bombarded with what you must be an animal, you must be uncivilized, you must be brutal, but this to pass and hand down a decision like that. Yeah, so then the Chief Justice called me one Thursday. He told me, Mr. John, I would like you by Monday. I want you to be in St. Vincent, to be the magistrate in St. Vincent.
Okay. Yes, the magistrate in St. Vincent.
I said to myself, I thought about it. I said, you are Jamaican, you're Chief Justice. You're Jamaican. You're deporting me from my country. I said, no. So I resigned. Yeah, I resigned as a magistrate. And then I'm saying, I'll just go into private practice because I've been adjudicating in the St. Lucia, giving decisions, adjudicating with your laws for 5 years. Then they tell me, no, I can't practice.
So you barred you from
They
practice?
tell me that I can't practice because I'm not a British lawyer. I'm not from the Commonwealth.
Okay. So you have to be called
because they had to be. I had to be called to the looks of it. They had all this, and I'm saying, well, how come? Dr. Rigsby, who did his medicine in Germany, they passed legislation in the House of Parliament to allow him to practice. There's Dr. Monrose, who did his medicine in Paris. They passed specific legislation to allow him to, because it's the same kind of system, to allow him to practice it. But for me, they were giving me this word, Riviere. Something Riviere was the Attorney General. They were giving me the runaround. They give me the runaround. They give me a runaround. And as a magistrate, I was living in a government house because I came from Canada. They want to kick me out and my family.
Wow.
Yeah, they want to kick me out from my family. After some time, I said, no, we can't take over again under all that kind of pressure. So I returned to Canada. I returned to Canada. So while I was in Canada now, I heard of that course being given in Trinidad at UWI for people in my situation where you can take that particular course, about a year's course or thereabouts. If you take it, then You can be so accredited that you can come within the Commonwealth and practice,
Okay.
including Saint Lucia. So I left Canada and my family in Canada and went to Trinidad, did the course. And then while I was there, at the end of the course, Julian Hunt called me. And Julian told me, tell me, we have an election right now. You know, just 2 months before the election when he called me. Tell me, come down. He told me, we have Mallet there for Central Cast, who has been there for donkey years. Mallet was a virtual fixture. Virtual fixture for Central Castries. All of his blab, bow tie. It was Mallet. He told me, come down. I said, but I don't have time to campaign. Just come down and, because they said the reason why they want somebody of some substance, because Mallet has never had solid opposition. Yeah. They wanted people of someone of some stature.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll come down. So I used to come down here on weekends and do all the campaigning in the CC area and go up and down. And then rush back to Trinidad.
Okay.
You know. So I campaigned for about a month.
Yeah.
And I went against Mallet. I didn't do too badly. We used to campaign. When I enter one CDC building, he's entering the other. We just wave to each other. He was a gentleman, you know. And so the first election he won, the second election he won. I said, but he had good competition because I was convinced if I remained in Central Castries, I would beat him next time. By then I would have 5 years to campaign. Yeah. He had this habit every Sunday. He'd go to the CDC building and drink his coffee, and from the old people there. Oh, he had really established himself. There's no doubt about it. In the graveyard, oh yeah, he had a lady there where he used to send the annual Minister of Trade and Industry. So things like rice and sugar would be going down to the graveyard. Yeah, he had a lady there who was collecting this for the guys in the graveyard. Her name was Sardine. Incidentally, she was my cousin. Sardine. So I used to go to the graveyard. I had a good relationship with all of them. I never had any problem. Though I was Labour and there was the UW people, Sardine's my cousin. I used to go to a house. I think I even used to eat there for that matter. Yeah. But Sardine was that artist and the Mallet's woman in the graveyard.
Okay.
Oh yeah. He always had his contact in, like Fuasho, he had his contact there. In the graveyard it was Sardine. In Conway it was somebody else, you know. And so Julian told me, and so I contested. We lost both elections. So I had an office on the Chaussee Road. So I was going to stay there for the next 5 years and do my campaigning. You know, and do my campaigning, waiting for the next election. And during that time, that's the time when Shannon Mall crossed the floor. Yeah, and then Julian came to me, Evan, I'd like you to go down to Labrie. Because the people are demoralized. Go down there and get the moral support, and you're from there, you're from the Yellowborian. And that's why I left Central Cast. It was a hell of a sacrifice. Because to service a constituency like Labrie in the south, and you're living in Castries with your family, it is hell. It is not. It is a real sacrifice. It's not easy. It is hard. Oh yes. So I did that. So I went on to Labrie, and I remained in Labrie for about 15, 17 a year. I represented Labrie for three terms. The first term I went there, I had no local stand-eye, because Chandel Mall was there. Yeah. So I was just there when they had all the big functions. Chandel Mall is at the front, I'm at the back. I had no local stand-eye. So I'm just waiting for the next election. But so I had a good 5 years to work the constituency. So when the election came, then I won, and then I won again. So I have three terms in Labrie. Yeah, and then that's how. And when I came up there, and then that's how I got into politics. It became. My first 5 years in opposition, then two years as a minister of government. Yeah.
Okay. 2 years.
Two terms.
Okay.
There were two terms as a minister of government. 5 years minister. Yeah, I was minister my first year. I was Minister of Legal Affairs, Minister of something, and Minister of Labor. That's one term.
Yeah.
And the second term I was, I'm trying to remember, and Minister of the Public Service, Minister of Cooperatives, and Minister of Labor. I was Minister of Labor for two terms.
2 terms, okay.
Yeah. The first third term I was in opposition. So I was in the parliament. I was also 2 years as a senator.
Okay. So
Yeah.
before you.
Yeah, before that,
Okay, you were a senator.
I was a senator.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is it. Yeah. And that's my situation.
That.
Well, I did many things in Labrie because Labrie had been so neglected, essential services neglected. I am responsible for the greater part for the rural electrification, of Labrie. I put lights in Basla, Grasla, Ho, Valley, Maganye, all over Labrie. I can remember there's one community, and I went to train. I used to call it Chen Nuese. I used to call it the heart of darkness.
Okay.
Because when I go to my constituency, I'm not there for during the day. I go and move around during the night and see what the community looks like during the night. And I went to this rural community there, and I'm there in the dark, and see those little houses on the hillside with the little lamps, little kerosene lamps. House there, little house there, little house there, little house there. And I said, cheese and rice. In this day and age, that's how our people. No, we are now that we have a bit of crime problem, we are basically law-abiding people. Because all the people have been going up here, moving in the darkness, because they go shopping in the Vieux-Fort. The bus drops them at the Gap, and they walk about 2 miles inside.
That's in the Buns Gap?
Yeah.
What?
They walk about 2 miles to go to Margany, to go to Balkes-Rizal, and there's been incident-free. People go to take their classes in Vieux-Fort. When they come back, the bus drops them in the back and just go inside, and they have to walk inside of there. And I look at the place, I said, oh my God. And then I said, no, change that. I put lights in that area, all on the hillside. And when they were through, when they put on the lights, beautiful, all the lighted place where they had kerosene lamps. I think I have one of the kerosene lamps on my table there. And there it was, and that Chen Nuese was a paradise. And I went and I looked at it. So satisfaction, justification, lights. Then you have the Rudy John Beach Park. The Rudy John Beach Park. If you go there right now, you'll see a sign leading into the park. That sign was never there for all the years, the Rudy John Beach Park. It was a park. It's marked the Rudy John Beach Park, conceptualized, executed, commissioned and named by me. The Rudy John Beach Park. It's a community. When you go to, now if you go to Google and Google Labrie, the Rudy John is there, the Rudy John Beach Park.
Yeah.
And it's a community asset. And I created it. Yeah. I could have named that park after myself. Because as I tell you, I conceptualized it.
Yeah.
I executed it. Not government, not the village council. No. Just me. I just used my friends. For example, clearing the area because it was a garbage dump. That's what it was, a garbage dump, a latrine place and what have you.
Wow.
Because they used to call it Kolewa. Why Kolewa? Because at one time, long time ago, they had a cholera epidemic, and people were used as a cemetery, and they buried people there.
On the beach.
Yeah, in that area there, whole area. It's called Kolewa. And when that finished, after stuff here, coconut trees began growing, and this we used to call it Ambakoko. So if you say you're going to Kolewa, we know where you're going. If you're going to Ambakoko, we know where you're going. So when I passed and looked at the place, I saw the possibilities. And so I called upon some friends of mine, the Dyer family in Viewfort. Mikey and Charles and Mr. Joe, his father, they were involved, and they still are involved in heavy equipment. So I went to Mike, and Mike had a garage. I went to Mikey, I think, and Charles. I told him I'd like him to come and clear up that place for me. Because I was close with them. And he said, yes, he will help me out. And they brought all the heavy equipment, the tractors, the trailers, this, and they cleared up the whole place. And when they cleared it up, that place looked so beautiful. It looks so beautiful. And when time, even Rick Wayne began saying that land belonged to them, to his family, the Carrascos. He said they belong to the Carrasco, and they think of putting a hotel there. I said, now you want to put a hotel? Now you want to put a hotel? This has been there for donkey years. You never did. So I think the time to go and discuss your problem with the Prime Minister. I continued my project. And then when that was cleared up, I said, boy, that's fine. That time I was the Minister of Home Affairs. So I had my links and my connection with the prison. Went up there, spoke to the superintendent, a friend of mine. I told him, I want some picnic tables. Have your boys build me some picnic tables. They built me 14 picnic tables, which were painted green. 14 picnic tables, and they took the prison trucks. The guys would just jump on board, the prisoners, and they went down to library, putting the things there and having chicken and rum. Boy, those guys loved it. Tell Mr. John, and we must do it again. Do you have any more picnic? Some other place. Well, we have a ball of a time on the beach. Yeah, ball of a time on the beach. They put my 14 picnic tables. And when that was through, I had them to build me 2 huts, so we can store things and can be used. And then when that was finished, I said, no, a place like that is so beautiful. It cannot only be used during the day. People must have access to that during the night. So I had my connection at Public Works Infrastructure Ministry. I had a friend called Mr. Theodore. He was in charge of the electrical department. I told him I need some lights down there. He brought me a good 3 or 4 or 5 poles. And so the Library Beach became the first lighted beach on the island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first lighted beach on the island. And there they were holding jazz, they were holding this, all kinds of functions were being held down there. And having done all of this, I said, well, we must name it. Who should I name it after? I thought of several of the Liberian icons. I thought of naming it myself. But somehow it went against the grain. It went against the grain. But nobody could have objected because no one was involved in the creation of that park. But I could have done it. And so one day I'm walking down the road and I saw this individual coming towards me. I said, yes, I think you'd be an ideal person to name that flag. His name was Rudy John. We used to call him RJ. He was a teacher. Name this anything elaborate, Rudy was involved. Teachers involved in the Shipman's Cooperative. The Library Cooperative is one of the founding members. Name anything elaborate, Rudy's involved. So I said, Rudy personified library. Personified library. So I went up to Rudy. I told him, boy, RJ, I'm thinking of naming this place after you. We have to go to name it after someone, and you are the ideal person. And he's a very humble chap. Tell me, no, Brother John, no. Now I think of he mentioned this. And no, brother man, you should be the man. Eventually he told me, do what you want. Go ahead, do what you want. And then we shook hands, and I went my way and he went his way. And that's how the Rudy John Beach Park was named.
Okay.
They named it the Rudy John Beach Park. Now when you go on Google Library, you'll see the Rudy John there right now. So I have immortalized Rudy John.
Nice.
Yeah, the Rudy John Beach Park. It's now a community asset. All sorts of people go there. All tourists go there. You know, one time Louis George, the former minister who died from Miku,
Yes.
one day he met me, said, "Man, Velon, this place you put up there. When I want to relax, that's where I go, you know."
All from
Yeah.
Miku.
Yeah, from Miku.
Wow. So it's
No.
sandy beach skip.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Tell me, when I want to relax, that's where I go, to the Rudy John Beach Park, because it's a beautiful park. But over the years I'm not around. It has been mismanaged, virtually, I think, and I think that my picnic benches disappeared, all 14 of them. One day I was driving past and I looked, I saw one of them in the sea.
In the sea.
In the sea. Yeah.
Hey.
So if you go there right now, you won't see any of the 14 picnic tables, beautiful picnic tables. Three people, 1, 2, 3 can sit here, and 1, 2, 3 can sit there. You know what? You know what a picnic table looks like.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think I too should have a picture.
You know.
Because I went to the beach park a couple of years ago.
I had 14 picnic tables painted green, yeah, made by the prisoners. Now, virtually this so the beach has been it's now still a community asset, because tourist people go there. The people in the village they use there. The kids go there, not have you. But then they used to have the jazz festival was being held there. Yeah. So that to me I think was an important accomplishment. The jetty that is there, it was built under my watch. Yeah. The building that bears my name.
Yes.
There's one there, the Velon John Administrative Center,
Yes.
and one guy who really pushed for it. Strange enough, paradoxically, and the one little person who really pushed to have it named after me was Richard Frederick.
Frederick.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Richard Frederick, and he was UWP at the time. Yeah, he was UWP at the time, because he was the minister responsible for
Like
community things. Yes, and that's why when we were commissioning that building, he was down in Library. We followed tents on the road, and people closed the block in the road, and tents were there, and he was there. He gave a speech, yeah, and he really pushed to have this building named after me. So it's called the Velon John Administrative Center. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Frederick was one of the main people pushing that that building be named after me. The Velon John Beach Park. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's it. So in a way, I think I have justified my political existence. Yeah, justified my political water. There's no water in many places. In Majumel, they had no water. Brought water up there. Essential services. Because Library was because it was a labor stronghold. Library was abandoned by all UWP and administrations. Yeah, abandoned by all Library. Yeah, but there's much more I could have accomplished. But somebody who could have assisted me did not. Someone who really could have assisted me did not. Yeah, I really felt tempted to mention his name in my article, and titled "The Declaration of a Dying Politician." I really felt to mention some names. Yeah, but I said no. I would be introducing an element of malice in that thing, and
I think it would have maybe.
and that was not proper.
Yeah.
And that was not proper. And you see, I sit here.
Yeah.
When you sit here, what do you see?
see the CEO, the Governor General's house.
And I feel I should have been occupying that building, because I have nothing against Errol. We grew up in the CDC together. I think I was even friended to his sister Imelda.
Okay.
And so I know Errol. Errol was one of us. I have nothing against him, but I always felt that how he became, first he was appointed acting Governor General. I say, why acting? Meantime, if they could not see someone in Saint Lucia, they could have given that position to substantively. They give you the substantive position, not acting. He acted for several years. Then they elevated, and still acting deputy. Meantime, you couldn't find a Saint Lucian there to appoint it. It's only this year, I think.
It was late last year.
This year, and he was appointed Governor General. But I always felt that position symbolically on a different level. Because I just thought when 4 years ago, not talking to some guys, we were discussing this matter. I told them I had 4 choices for Governor General, and that's why I was a very good magistrate. Excellent magistrate, because I am objective, impartial. Yeah. I think I wrote down something there. And justice, enamored with justice. I am for justice, whoever it is for or against. Yeah. So, what does I say again?
You had 4 choices for
4 choices.
the Governor General.
My first choice, 4 persons I would embrace if they would meet it. One was Julian Hunt. But Julian Hunt is ailing. Julian Hunt is ailing, and they named the Grosley Highway after him. Okay. My second choice was Calix George, Sr.
Yes.
But he too is ailing, and he was knighted. My third choice was myself, and my fourth choice was Mario Michel.
Justice, yes.
Yeah, but now they made him almost the head of one arm of government as Chief Justice or Acting Chief Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is me left, and I consider, and I look at the whole of Saint Lucia, and also the diaspora. And I said, no, as far as I'm concerned, if you're from outside, you should never be made Governor General or whatever to hold the highest position. It has to be someone who is very much involved in Saint Lucia and working in Saint Lucia. Don't go up there and get 10 PhDs and say you want to come and be the Governor General or be the President. No. Be in Saint Lucia and you're working among the people. Yeah. Yeah. Like Paris, Winston Paris. Almost internationally known for his studies in pain. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Winston Paris, Lucian, but I never would. He did all what he did across there in the United States. You know. So I said, to be Governor General, it has to be someone here who has worked here, contributed here. You know, you've been among the people. You've been with the people. Yeah. So I say, that's why I am on that list. Yeah, and even up to now, once I ask a very person all the way up there, why was Errol appointed Deputy Governor General? He told me, well, because they felt they had not done enough for his father.
Oh, really?
I said, you do use that criterion to make someone Governor General. That's not the criterion you use. No, it has to be the person himself in terms of what he has done, his contribution. Errol was just there when I hadn't heard of Errol for donkey years, and then when he was so appointed deputy, then I said, where was Errol? Where was all the time? They tell me he was working in the, I think, Inland Revenue. Yeah, Inland Revenue. All of these years, you never heard of Errol being involved in this or that or that or that or that.
Yeah.
So I said, no. I said, his father, George Charles. Every time I go to the airport, I walk inside there, I see George Charles. I see the bust of George Charles. And that annoys me. I find it offensive. Once I told Aaron if that was me, my father, I would go there one day, I would smash it. Yeah. Because what I see there is the bust of a peasant. George Charles was never a peasant. I live with George in the CDC area. He lived there with all his family, grew up in the CDC. Whenever I saw George Charles, he had a long sleeve shirt and a tie. Mm-hmm. That was George Charles. Not someone working down in the valley, in Roseau, Cul-de-sac, or Dennery valleys, in the cane, or whatever else, or bananas.
Yeah.
No. George Charles had his tie. That was George Charles. How I pictured George Charles. And so I tell him, if I told him I would smash that bus because it's the bus of a peasant, what I would do, the same way they have a statue of John Compton, I'd have a statue of George Charles at the end of the runway by the Avis roundabout.
Yeah.
I'd have a statue of George Charles there. It's almost identical to John Compton. And perhaps John Compton should have a bust. He doesn't deserve it. He deserves a statue. Because if you want to see John Compton, you go to Maho. Mm-hmm. And then looking, where's John? Where's Mr. Compton? Where's Mr. Compton? You know, the guy standing just there with his cutlass and cutting a banana tree or some grass is John Compton. Mm. Yeah. You go up to Maho, okay. Yeah. Oh yes, that was John Compton. Up in Maho, he has his cutlass, he has his long boots. And John Compton is cutting this or doing this or that, and he just stand up and say, hey, here am I. Yeah. So I'm saying that is more fitting for John, for a bust of him like that, yeah. You know, than George Charles.
Yeah.
So I said George Charles should have a statue. Yeah, should have a statue, not a bust. Mm-hmm. No. For that matter, I think our people are wrong. I don't think that just comes to my mind as I think of George Charles and for that general area. At the junction of John Compton Highway and Jeremy Street, mm-hmm. You have the market on one side, yeah. And you have the arcade on the other side, yeah. And in the middle it's a triangular roundabout, and then there's a white boy like that with that there. What is that white boy doing there? Yeah. What and our people don't find it offensive. For that matter, the offense is compounded by the fact when I bring it up. Even someone who was sitting here a few days ago, we talked about that. When I bring it up, say, what? I've never seen that. You've never seen that? I go to country. I tell him, so something. I tell you, you have no physical impediment. You have a 20/20 vision. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your problem is not physical. It's not your eyesight. The problem is one of consciousness. That's why you have flipping well tired. You haven't seen it. Yeah. There are many people abroad that they say, I've never seen that. I can't remember. Mm. You know. As to how people don't. What is that white boy doing? That white lad doing there? I find that so offensive. Yeah. I find that so offensive. They should have a bust of George Madet right there. Yeah. Because George Madet was a central castrist and political fixture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It should be a bust of George, a white boy with some straps. You know. I say, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with people? So the problem is not your eyesight. Yeah. Yeah. The problem is your eyesight. It's a question of consciousness. It's a question of consciousness, and that's why it brings me to our flag. Mm-hmm. To our flag, I find the Saint Lucian flag offensive, so offensive. But apparently, I'm the only one. Very few people, when I bring it up, tell me, Mr. John, I've never seen it I've never thought of it like that. Yeah, they tell me, I've never thought of it like that. Mm-hmm. I tell how, like what? I say, look at that flag. You have a sliver of white going like that, which represents the sliver of the white population. We don't have a big population of white. It's a sliver. Mm-hmm. Sliver of white. Minority. And between that, we have the mass of blacks. The mass of blacks. The standing between standing between the white man, between his two legs, and he's pissing on us.
The yellow, the gold.
Yeah, the black mass.
Yeah.
The legs, we are between the legs, and he's pissing on us.
Yes.
You know, and what comes to mind? What comes to mind is the bard. The bard is Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, in relation to his poem Julius Caesar. And we petty men stoop under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. The fall, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. So when I look at the flag, that's what I see. That's why when the whites come in, they must be feeling at home. They must feel that's the way it should be. Yeah, the sliver of white, and we the mass of blacks. Servitude, exploitation, degradation, humiliation. Yes. So I'll change that flipping flag because I find it very offensive. But most 90% of Lucians, and all those I've spoken to, they don't find it offensive. And so I have conceptualized my own flipping St. Lucian. That's what I think St. Lucian flag should be. That's my conceptualization.
Yeah.
Because a flag should depict that which is best in us as a people. Yeah. So when I look at that flag, and then in recent times you're having all this big quarrel, this thing that's going on with the blue. Oh, it should be cerulean blue, it should be sky blue, it should be royal blue, it should be this kind of blue. That is not an issue, as far as I'm concerned. That is a non-issue. Yeah, that is a non-issue. Don't blame and Mr. Santome, Santome, because he was knighted. Don't blame the man. The man is just an artist.
Yeah.
The man is just an artist. You know, he knows about the juxtaposition of colors. Whether it's the blue and the green should go together, and the white should go together, and the purple should go together. He knows about the juxtaposition of colors. That's his job. He's an artist. And what he does, I cannot do it. I'm not a flipping artist. You know, because when you're dealing with a flag, you're dealing with symbolism. Symbolism. Yeah. And so to inform the process, you should have had our so-called intellectuals or pseudo-intellectuals and whites and half-whites and bourgeois. They were there to inform the process. Yeah. But some of the bourgeois and the intellectuals and pseudo-intellectuals who were around him, they had this bias, in favor of the cow. So to them it was all right. Yeah, they never saw the contradiction. Yeah, they never saw the macabre, grotesque contradiction. They never saw how offensive it is. Yeah, I think I'm the only one who's finding it. So every time I look at that flag, I just see Julius Caesar, and we petty men stoop under his huge legs to find ourselves dishonorable graves. The fall, dear Brutus, is not in ourselves, but in our stars, that we are underlings. That's why you find that that white boy, we do find it offensive. Yeah, we do find it offensive. And then when I was there, I think they asked me a question. About colonialism. Let's see that. Who's that? Asked me a question, and what I wrote about colonialism. We have not fully dealt with the tension between colonialism and our identity. Yeah. But at this time, I will start with our flag, which I find to be offensive and should be changed. As I see it, it is the epitome of our failure as a people to deal with our perverse history, contextually speaking, and to further deal with our monumental failure to elevate ourselves to the status of a republic. We proclaim to be independent, and yet we have this perverse nexus with the British who enslaved us, colonized us, exploited us, and oppressed us. We are independent, and yet we are colony because of this macabre, grotesque connection with the British. Our present status, we have an appointed Governor General, reflects a chronic inability to deal with the shackles of colonialism and its malodorous implications and realities. If I can recall, it was a former prime minister who pontificated that colonialism has a conscience, an asinine statement of if ever there was one, since racism is inherent in colonialism. And the central features of that colonialism is degradation, exploitation, humiliation, oppression, and servitude. Why are we at this time linked to the bastion of colonialism, the British monarchy, and subject to its instrumentalities? Even today with our Governor General, we have court documents, even today, the 22nd of March, on which is embossed King Charles III. Without that imprint, that stamp, the validity and legality of documents from our courts would be questionable. Don't you think it is time that St. Lucia be elevated to the status of a republic, and thus shattering once and for all the shackles of colonialism and its instrumentalities? Barbados, Little England, is now our republic with its native president. So also Dominica and others. Don't you think it is time that we eradicate all vestiges of colonialism from our national life, and most importantly, our national consciousness? Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Dominica as well.
Yeah, Dominica.
Yep.
Yeah. And you tell me in 2025, you're pointing this. That's why I told Philip here. I told him if he had offered me the job as the Governor General, I would not accept it. No. I tell him, if you make me the President of the Republic of St. Lucia, that I will accept. Yeah. I told Philip here that. Yeah.
So my question to you, because I think it's, I wouldn't say it's wishful thinking for us as a country to be a republic, but what would be the implications of that? Because from the Commonwealth perspective, I think Dominica is still part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, you can be a republic. Many countries are not colonies of Britain. Australia. Well, Australia is almost, I think, in our situation. I think the Queen is still linked to the Queen.
Yeah, they still have a practice.
Yes, they still have a link there. Yeah, but there are many other Commonwealth countries that are not linked.
So
they're independent. Some African countries, and they're part of the Commonwealth. They're not linked in any way to the British monarchy, no manner, shape, or form. Yeah, so there's nothing.
It's just a matter of us.
Just. But my girlfriend across the seas. I just love this woman. I just love this Mia Motley. I just love this woman. Yeah, she had the balls to sever the link from Little England. That's how Barbados was perceived. That's umbilical nexus. That was the reality. And she just severed that link. No, we are now a republic with our own black president, who is a woman. She was once a judge in St. Lucia, for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah. She was once a judge, and I know her quite well. She's now the president of Barbados, a black woman. And you tell me, talking about a Governor General, a link with the Crown, and on our official court documents, you have the stamp King Charles III. Come on, look at the flag. A flag should depict that which is best in us as a people. So when I look at the flag, Julius and William Shakespeare comes to mind. Julius Caesar comes to mind. That is what I see. That should not be the case. So when the whites come here, they see the sliver white and the mass of blacks. And I've compared St. Lucian's flag with all of the flags of the world. I've compared St. Lucian's flag with all the flags of the world. I do see a situation where the whites are disadvantaged. And the whites, wherever they are, whether they are as a sliver or whether they are as a mass, they always enjoy majority privileges. Yeah. That's our reality here right now.
Wow.
They always enjoy majority privileges. And yeah, as I said, I'm not a racist. I'm a humanist.
Yeah.
I have friends who my first wife was white, but my mother's children is white. She's from Quebec.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have nothing against the white. So whether if it's a Chinese guy who had colonized us, I'd be writing the very same thing.
Yeah, it's a Chinese.
I'd be writing the very same thing. So I said, I'm not racist. I have friends, white, black, green, Indian, Chinese. Oh yes,
Humanist,
I'm a humanist.
And you embrace.
Yeah, I embrace people. Yeah. But and as I said, I'm not a politician.
Yeah,
I'm a humanist. I have friends all over the place. My brother, who was there just about 2 days ago, diehard UWP. Irving is UWP.
Irving is UWP?
Oh yeah, Irving is
Wow.
Irving is UWP.
Wow.
Diehard UWP. Yeah, diehard UWP. Yeah, and I'm Labour. But and we have a fantastic relationship. I love my brother. We come there, we talk politics.
Yeah.
But my brother and myself is one of the closest person to me in Saint Lucia. Yeah, we have an extraordinary relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, I must get whenever it comes, I must have my coconut water. Yeah.
So during the time you were campaigning, was he mayor during that time?
I think at one time he was mayor. I don't know.
Okay.
Could be.
Because I do recall him being mayor, but I just don't remember the years.
Yeah, but I don't know the years. It could be. It's possible. Yeah, he was late because I used to go to his office in the building, in the city council building. Oh yes, yes. I used to go there because they always had eats and drinks in the fridge. So I was always dropping by for.
Possibly.
I was always dropping by for a snack, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yes. When I come from court, I was going to court there. I'd drop by there. A few of us always sitting there drinking. Who's UWP? Who's not UWP? It's not there to me. You know, I have friends.
Yeah.
You know, I have friends, and like who she was here last week, Fletcher.
Jocelyn
Fletcher.
Okay.
Fletcher and myself, we're very, very close.
Okay.
Fletcher's died at UWP.
Yes.
No, I would say she's more of a Comptonite.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there are two categories of UWPs.
I'm learning the hard way.
Yeah, there's a Comptonite and then there's UWP. Fletcher is a Comptonite. Oh yeah, it's just close with John Compton. Yeah, and we are very, very close. Yes, just lying on my bed there for that matter. Okay. Yeah, so and Floretta Nicholas, the lawyer.
Yeah.
He was once and Chief Magistrate. They were just here last week, I think.
Last week. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So and people's politics is neither here nor there to me. No doubt. No. I tell you, I'm a humanist.
Humanist, yeah.
Yeah. No relationship. Yeah. But I have my concerns. For example, and as I've just written there, and our problems if our not being a republic. Someone asked me when I was launching my book, I had to give an address. I had to give an address. If you want to record that, I can tell you the address I gave. It says the address, ladies and gentlemen, friends and comrades. This event marks the occasion of the launching of my book titled Ramblings of a Mind and Pulsations of a Heart. It is a compilation of my thoughts on a multiplicity of subjects that constitute in some measure the fabric of my existence. It is creative thinking that on a conscious and subconscious level embraces the prose and poetry of my doings and undoings. In terms of its genre, it does not fall into the realm of fiction, as it is the reflection of life as I see it and as I have experienced it or lived it. Though intrinsically personal, it lends itself in part to the generalized other, and thus becomes transmuted into a pedagogical instrument that meets the existential demands. This book has been compartmentalized into thoughts, poems, and aphorisms. And as you will have observed, whether in prose or poetry, there is a certain Platonic twist that reflects my own philosophic propensity. There's food for titillating and delectable thought, which will challenge your mundane cosmological and eschatological postures and beliefs. Some of what has been conceptualized has been derivative of the actual day-to-day experiences and spiritual explorations. For example, and intention, which I have right there.
Yeah.
Intention. And intention says what? That's another story. Intention is a fool's comfort and paradise, if not followed by commensurate action. Yeah, intention. And do you know how that came about? Let's just talk about that for a while. Do you know how that came about?
No.
I have an uncle of mine, Uncle Ivans. I always used to visit him.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, we go to his home, talk politics or whatever. I always enjoyed this. And for some reason, we kind of drifted apart. And I always kept on saying, I have to go and see Uncle Ivans. I called my brother Irving. I said, let's go and see Uncle Ivans. I said, yes, we'll do it next Sunday. And so a week of Sundays passed by. We didn't. Months of Sundays passed by. We didn't. And a year of Sundays passed by. And we hadn't done that. And one day I'm just driving down the road when my cousin, I call him Schofield, but his popular name is Jimmy Evans. He sings beautiful voice, Jimmy Evans. He called me and said, well, do you know, and I said, what about, I said, do you know about Uncle Ivans? I said, no. He told me he just died. Oh, fuck. Oh, painful. It was a laceration. Oh, yes. Even up to now, I stay here, I look, I can see his tomb across there. I only have to sit up and I look across there, I see his tomb. Painful. And I came here and I lie down. And I'm thinking of Uncle Ivans. And that's when I conceptualize intention. And it says, intention is a fool's comfort and paradise if not followed by commensurate action.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I just lie down here and I thought, up to now I think about Uncle Ivans. I get up in the morning, I just look across it because I know exactly where his tomb is.
Yeah.
Uncle Ivans.
Wow.
So as I said there, and some of what has been conceptualized has been derivative of actual day-to-day experiences and spiritual explorations. For example, intention, which came to mind as the result of a very personal and lacerating experience. And two, the Christian notion of love and forgiveness discloses the intrinsic incompatibility with the eschatological construct of hell and eternal punishment. From my poems, I've learned one thing: the creative process is both conscious and subconscious. For the full meaning of what I have written what I have versed is never apparent and intended at the seeming time of conceptualization. There's sometimes a subconscious element that manifests itself only after you have actually written what you have written, and which establishes the parameters of meaning that is evolutionary. The experience of his audience, my audience, is essentially vicarious and twice removed from the creative thrust of the poet's literary exertions. And I said, now that I have contextually positioned you, my audience, I'd like to enlighten you as to the scope and purpose of this project. And I said, this book is not a pro bono affair. Publishing and launching a book, as some of us know, is an expensive business. And in this regard, some friends have intervened in some way or the other. And I had a few names there. And very importantly, the proceeds derivative from the sale of the book will go to a scholarship educational fund which will be used to support students in 4 primary schools in the constituency of Labrie. These schools are the Labrie Girls Combined Primary School, the Labrie Boys Combined Primary School, which I attended, the Bas Lagras Primary School, and the OG Combined School. And so I exhort everyone to purchase Ramblings. And the question now comes to the fore is this: why Labrie? I was born in the village of Labrie, and for 15 years I was a parliamentary representative for the constituency of Labrie. Besides 2 other schools in Labrie at the time, I attended the Labrie Boys Primary School. I exhort you at this time to purchase a book of Ramblings along with the bookmarks. On purchase, you'll be given a free laminated copy of Take Time and Aphorism. I sincerely hope that you'll find this book intellectually and emotively scintillating and delectable. A libation to Sophia, Themis, Aphrodite, and Bacchus will be in order after the event. And that is what I have the fourth thing there. Once you buy a book, you get that.
Yeah.
Aphorisms and Take Time. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. There's something I just wrote. I call it suggested changes.
Okay.
Suggested changes, and I sent a copy to the Prime Minister.
Okay.
Changes to the Republic of Saint Lucia, at least of historical necessity. The financial center to be housed in the Stevenson King building. That building, of course, the financial center. I think it should be named after Stevenson King was a prime minister, and I think it should. The boulevard. I sent a copy to Richard. The boulevard to be changed to the Richard Frederick Promenade, and it should be pedestrianized. No traffic. The Richard Frederick Promenade. The George Charles statue to be erected at the eastern end of the VG runaway by Eves.
Yeah.
A bust of W. Chima to be placed at the Jeremy Street Arcade, the roundabout we talked about.
Bust of who?
What's that?
Of who?
A bust of W.G. Mallet.
Oh, okay.
Mallet, yeah.
Mallet, yeah.
To be placed at the Jeremy Street, where the white boy is. Yes. Yeah. Then the Martian River should be slabbed over from the way up down to the sea. It should be slabbed over and made into the entire area should be slabbed over to facilitate periodic maintenance. That motorway should be called the Philip J. Pierre Avenue, in the alternative or thoroughfare for pedestrians and bicycles, the PJP walkway. And that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
People will be riding your bicycle or you're walking down there, you know. If you make it in a motorway, then you just drive, make going up now Marshall one way, make it down there another way.
Yeah.
You know, one way.
That's actually a pretty interesting.
You know, so that's a lot of property to that can be used. You can be utilized. And then the four-story CDC block. The four-story CDC block encompassing High Street, Coral Street, High Street on the one end, St. Louis Street on the other side, and Pena Street down by the Treasury. That entire area, one building should be destroyed, and it has been demolished. They now are using it as a car park.
Yeah.
On that area, that spot, that parcel of land should be constructed the Julian Alfred edifice. The Julian Alfred Youth edifice. And in that building, whether you make it a 2-story or 3-story building, it should encompass all matters pertaining to youth. All matters. If you want a scholarship, that's where you go. If you want a pair of cricket boots, that's where you go. And if you want money, that's good. Everything pertaining to youth will be housed in that building, the Julian Alfred edifice. So we have various stories. So it can encompass all of that in that. And the back of the building is facing Coral Street. So when you drive along Coral Street, you'll just see that sign there, big sign in gold, the Julian Alfred Youth Edifice. Yeah. And then at the front of the building now is bringing you inside, where you'll destroy the second story and the third, fourth story, and the third, fourth story. You bring on all of them. And at the front, you have about 10 concrete slabs. 10 concrete slabs. Each slab is about that. 10 concrete slabs. You know, one here, one there, one there, one there, one there. Yeah. The one at the very front should have a statue of Rick Wayne. A statue of Rick Wayne in athletic pose, in his muscle building pose. Yeah, on that, and his slab is painted gold. His slab is painted gold, and you have there a statue. And that will be. Have you seen pictures of Rick Wayne?
I saw some last
bodybuilding in bodybuilding pose. Can you imagine that it's like that there, and his slab there? When the young people pass,
you see that?
when they see when the young people pass, you know, that would be an incentive. You know, Rick Wayne. And now the other slab next to him would be Julian Alfred, Sammy the cricketer, Laverne Spencer. They occupy one slab, but it'd be a bust. It's only Rick Wayne will be there in athletic pose. The other one will be a bust of Julian. But for Rick Wayne, the names would be there of all of them. So you have Rick Wayne, but I don't stop there. I put NE. You know what NE means? NW? No, born. That's your born. You're born. Yeah. That's your roots. When they say NE, when you put NE, if you get married, a woman, you get married to a woman, you can put NE and then put your name, or put her name.
Put her name before.
Yeah, she can put your name and then put NE and put her the name she was born with. She was born with. On Rick Wayne's thing, you put Rick Wayne, NE, Larry Carrasco. That's his name. It's Larry Carrasco. That's how I've known him from Labrie. The other Carrascos. Because as I see it, Rick Wayne has no right to sever his genealogy. Yeah. He's a Lucian. So his great-grandchild, his great-great-great-grandchild, when he's passing by, he said, "It's a Carrasco. That is Lucian. That is us." So I'd have Rick Wayne, NE, Larry Carrasco. The other one, I have their names, Laverne Spencer, Sammy thing there, Julian Alfred. And then, going closer to the building, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 slabs, painted gold. You leave it unoccupied. Because there's nobody else to put there. So when the young people are passing by, they can say, "Boy, in 5 years' time, I want to occupy this one. Yeah. In 2 years' time, I want to occupy this here. In 10 years' time, I want to occupy this burn. I have to be there." That provides incentive. You have the bus, Rick Wayne, and the five or six slabs that are left, in painted gold, it is there. Yeah. And then at the very front now, going beyond that, you're going towards downtown, going towards Pena Street, you have a children's park. Yeah. So they can have their little swings. So the whole place there is associated with youth and youthfulness. Yeah. And High Street.
High Street, yes.
Yeah, High Street should be named the Julian Alfred Avenue. Yeah. Yeah, the Julian Alfred Avenue. So you have Julian Alfred Avenue on one side, St. Louis Street on the other side, Coral Street on that side, going towards the boulevard, there's Pena Street. And I further told them that we should embark on an exercise There should be an island-wide street naming or street changing exercise. I said that would be an interesting research project and have the schools involved.
Involving it.
Yeah, involve a street naming, street changing exercise. For example, Library High Street. Almost everywhere, everyone's out of it has a high street.
Yeah.
Like the thing that, for example, the Library High Street. Yeah, that should be called the Hilary Dasheville Avenue. The highway passing through Library. The highway at the top, it's called John Kennedy Highway. That should be named the Watson Louis Highway.
Watson Louis.
You know, the Watson Louis Highway. At the end of a high street in Library, it goes down into a place called La Batterie. That should be named the Agatha Japanel Enclave, because that's where the family lives. Japanel.
Okay.
Down at the enclave, they call it La Batterie. You have a little community there. And we call it the Japanel Enclave. The other one is another prominent family. They call the place Tibouk. That should be called the Barthélemy Enclave. I say we should embark, all communities should embark on a name-changing exercise and have the school children involved. And they can make the suggestion. The same way a school child who came up with the name Serenity Park.
Serenity Park, yes.
Yeah. A school child who came up with the name Serenity Park. So you go through a name-changing exercise. It'll be an interesting and research project encompassing the whole island. Yeah, the whole island.
Yeah. The thing is, when I go through Library, on the main, I think it's Dimple Drive.
The Dimple, that's we used to call it La Croix.
La Croix.
Because there was a cross at the very, very top.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a cup and Our Lady of Fatima Chapel at the very, very top. At the very top, where you have a road going to Bass, a road going to Sozel, that road goes to Vieux-Fort, and then you're going down into Library. That's La Croix. So now it's called La Croix. So that is now called the Paulette Louise Avenue or what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paulette Louise.
I think when you get down.
When you get down, then no. Yeah, the first one is Alan Louise.
Yeah.
And then the second one takes you to the main street, High Street. It takes you into the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes you to the church that way and to Sozel, just on the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember the last time.
Yeah.
Okay. So the painting on the walls, was that within your tenure?
What's that?
When like on the Church Street, the High Street?
No, I wasn't around.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't around. But there's much more I could have achieved if
You had more help.
not only this particularly one person.
Wow.
Particularly one person who,
One person.
yeah, who could have helped me to transform Library. Particularly one person. Every time I think about it, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. Just one person. And considering I was servicing Library when I'm living in Castries. Do you know how many times I've been on that road, Castries Library Road? Night and day, any time of the night and day, I've been on that road. My engine has conked out 3 times. I've slept on the road 3 times. Wow. Yeah, because my engine engine usually conks out around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight on the road. Yeah. Where by Miku, they have a little housing development.
Escape.
Around Escape. That road goes up the hill there.
Yeah.
I've stuck there about twice. And when I'm stuck there at night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I spend the whole night there. And the reason why I spend the whole night there, vehicles pass me up and down, but you never know who you're stopping until the person stops beside you. So I don't just stand there and wave. I'm involved in politics, so I don't just stand there and wave, because I don't know whoever stops in front of me. I don't know who the hell I'm stopping. So I never wave. So I spend the night there. And I had my van, I start my van. When I stay in my van, it gets hot in the van. Then you have to go out. Or I put down the windows. When you put down the windows, mosquitoes are just rushing at you. Fresh blood. Yeah, fresh blood.
And lots of
You know,
CO2.
coming there. So I had to go out. So during the night, I walk around my van. Then go back inside, close it. Yeah, when it gets hot again, I go out again. I might do that about 3 or 4 times during the night. Yeah. So servicing the Labrie constituency, with all my colleagues, they're practically living in their constituency. Philippe lives in his constituency. This one lives in his constituency. They all live in their constituency. But I had to travel the whole length. Yeah. That was not easy. That was not easy. Name the hour of the day. I used to have about 3 or 4 spare tires because the roads were in terrible condition. The roads were in terrible condition. I used to have 3 or 4 spare tires in my van. Yeah, 3 or 4 spare. I became an expert on changing tires. Yeah.
Because of that experience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It was not easy. And that individual could have made things so much easier. So much easier. Yeah. But anyway, I did what I had to do my way. I did what I had to do my way. My time was there. My time came. I did what I did, and I've moved on.
Yeah.
And I have moved on. No, I just went there to do a service. So I wasn't concerned about that. The basic philosophy of the party, I was at home with that. I was at peace with that. Yeah. So anything else there, any fundamental, any disjunction of differences, I reconcile myself to whatever, because the most important thing was providing a service, being there with my people.
Yeah.
Yeah, being there with my people.
Because around that time, Dr. Anthony, I think he resides in Cul-de-sac.
Oh.
So he would have been very similar to you.
No. World of difference. World of difference. The world of difference. No. Because I had to beg to get things done. I had to go there. Kenny Anthony, wherever he was, all he had to do was pick up the phone. Yeah. That's all he had to do.
One phone.
Pick up the phone, and it was done. Yeah. That is a fundamental difference. It doesn't matter where he was. Yeah, he could have been living in St. Vincent for that matter. Yeah. All he had to do was just pick up the phone, and it was done. I had to beg. I had to go. Carl Williams, foreman. I knew him. I tell him, when you're down there putting up some road there, since you have mobilized your people, can you come across there to Derbois, not too far away, and do a little something down the road for me? I begged. I begged everyone. Okay, going here and going there.
Wow.
No, Kenny Anthony never begged. All he had to do was just pick up the phone. That is all. Yeah, that is all. I couldn't just pick up a phone. I had no phone. I didn't have any phone.
And I guess as a minister of government, they would have had certain, especially.
You had to beg. You had to almost greet it yourself. Brother man, help me out there. You know, and many people helped. You know, they came out of the way to assist. You know, my situation, Kenny Anthony's situation. Yeah, all the other ministers lived in their constituencies.
Yeah.
Lived in their constituencies. But I had to go up and down that road. I going up and down that road, night and day. And I got to know the road like the back of the. That's why nobody could beat me on the road. and that's why I never like people to follow me at nights. And there's some people who would like to follow me. And I tell you, boy, and there's a particular place I say, I must lose you there. You follow me. When I left Labrie, I sort of, I might have picked you up in the fort. For the city vehicle, I slowed down, kind of slowed down, I accelerated. I said, I must pass you. When I get into Grand Riviere, when I get into, and I'm about to begin to climb the Badalil, I say, I must lose you. Oh yeah, I say, I must lose you. You're not following me. And when I get there, pass through Grand Riviere, over the bridge, and into the community of Tomaso, they have a bakery there. That's where Alan Chasney used to stop during the election time and sit by the roadside and eat his bread and cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, through Tomaso. So once I go through there, you're not passing me, you're not close to me on the Badalil. Until I get down to the very end of the battle. By then I've lost you.
You lost me?
Oh yeah, by then I've lost you. By the time we get down at the end of the battle, into Bexo, I've lost you. Oh yes, because I knew that road. And I had my stick shift.
Oh, okay.
I had my stick. I knew where to change. Into third, I go back to fourth. I'm there into first. I slow down this way, that way. Oh yeah, I knew that road, and I knew every place, every pothole. I knew every pothole. I knew exactly where to change on that road. So if you think you're following me, you're going to follow me there. No, you're not getting. No. By the time I get into the valley, you're miles behind of me. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yes.
Another thing, I think a lot of modern politicians don't attest to that type of experience.
Oh no. No.
Because right now, I think we have a case where in our current parliament, I think the other case would be Alan Chasney, with him living in Rodney Bay and him representing Miku South. And I think right now the roads are much better. You could do that twice in a day.
But Alan Chasney as Prime Minister, though what he should have done that he didn't do is delinquent. That's why they'll be taking him to task. What he could have done for the people in Deriso, in that area, he didn't. But then, even then, when you're Prime Minister, he didn't have to be driving up and down. He goes there once a week, because all he has to do was pick up the phone. Yeah, because all he had to do was pick up the phone. Yeah. Just call Public Works. I want that piece of road there to be done. Fine. Call Wasco. There's some water problem that do this, that. Call this thing, some electricity. Just call and pick up the phone. That's all. Yeah. That is all he had to do.
Wow.
Yeah. You just pick up the phone. Yeah, when you have the capacity and the position to pick up the phone, oh boy, you really don't have a problem. Yeah. You don't have the problem. So it isn't just picking up the phone, it's the power behind the phone. Yeah, the power behind the phone. Yeah. I didn't have the phone.
You had a phone, but not that phone.
Yeah, it's a particular phone, I can assure you of that. It was a particular phone, there's no doubt about it. A particular phone. Homo sapiens. Man and woman in their fundamental differences and similarities constitute the two sides of the face of God.
He said, there was this time when you said Homo sapiens and the public thought you call him
homosexual.
Because they just hear Homo.
Yeah, right. Oh.
That's so good.
There was a time when Julian resigned. And thereby creating a vacancy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Julian Hunt. Yeah. And I was the leader of the opposition. head of the party, and then and we all involved in trying to get and trying to get him into the politics as such. What's his name? God, I can't remember. Oh, the name just slipping me by.
A name?
Prime Minister
Kenny?
Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all working to getting him here. And when he came to Saint Lucia, when he was in Saint Lucia, we began politicking. Then we decided, but where would he run? At that time, I was already installed in the politics and in the party. I had library for that matter. And I went to Kenny myself and told him I'm prepared to give him library because I think the leader of the party and the future prime minister should have a safe seat.
Yeah.
And library would be a safe seat. Yeah, I tell him I'm giving you library. I'm a lawyer. I can always go and do something else. There's no problem there. I tell him, yeah, take library, take. And then he told me no, he won't. He'd rather go against Josie. Because he feel he could be Josie in Vieux Fort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what he did. He went to Vieux Fort and Josie was defeated. But I had first offered him library.
Okay.
Yeah. Let him have library, safe seat. You know, I'm a lawyer. I can go and do something else. Though he too was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, but if you're coming in as a leader of the party and there's a groundswell. Everybody wanted Kenny, as though he was the Messiah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why we won the election 16-1.
16-1, yeah, with Louis George in opposition.
Yeah, 16-1. Though I always felt that Julian could have won the election, but not with that kind of majority.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like 10-7.
Yeah, something like that. I feel we could have won, but not with that kind of majority. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at the time when you were leader of the opposition, that was very close to elections.
Yeah, it is close to elections. Yeah.
You were that close to being praised.
What was that?
You was probably that close to being PM.
Yeah, I could have. If something had happened to Kenny, then Julian having resigned, and I was the deputy leader, and then I automatically would have been the choice of the party. Yeah. But the universe of our life is unfolding as it should. Yeah. It's unfolding as it should. So I'm not disappointed. Except that I find I should have been. Whoever was there, we should have made Saint Lucia a republic. Made Saint Lucia a republic.
It is incumbent on me to thank you, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues and friends around this table for their support, their cordiality, their friendship, and equally important, their respect. Mr. Speaker, irrespective of the differences of opinions, perceptions, and even philosophy, the parliamentary relationship for the greater part has redounded to our benefits and to the credit of the process. And as is to be expected, Mr. Speaker, there were evanescent elements of acrimony, but with no lingering residue of malice. From my vantage point, Mr. Speaker, when compared to what obtains in the House of Commons in the United Kingdom, the parry and thrust of the debates met an acceptable level of decorum. And it was this that facilitated the atmosphere of congeniality and conviviality when we imbibed on occasions on the upper floor. On the whole, Mr. Speaker, the conduct of the nation's business in this honorable House has been an interesting and satisfying experience. And so it has been an honor and a privilege to be a servant of the people on that level. The time, Mr. Speaker, has come to effect my departure from this arena, and this I will be doing gracefully and gratefully, and by so doing, embracing the unfolding of my life, as my destiny shall not be denied.